Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. It's Anna with you here. If you don't know me yet, nice to meet you. And if it's not your first time here, welcome back. So today is the first part and it's long-term rentals. So what is basically long-term rentals? This is something when you rent a house or apartment, anything where you could live in, when you rent it for more than 6 months. Then it's considered as long-term rental. Rentals here in Spain are quite complicated lately. Well, at least here in our region, I'm gonna talk to you about rentals here in Benidorm area, Alicante region, and Valencian community in general. I've been working as a rental agent for quite some time. This was one of my numerous jobs, which I still have to let you know about. But just for now, you have to know that I know from my own experience as a rental agent and both as a person who rents an apartment, because this apartment we live right now in is rented as well. So let's start with probably what is required, what documents and money you have to be able to rent a house. So first of all, you are always asked when everyone knows how this is, basically how this works. Usually you check online. If you like one of the apartments, you just call the agency. If they have it available, you talk to them and you get a time, an appointment for you to see it. And then if you like it, usually they ask you a few things. First one is a work contract. So a work contract is something that you just need to have if you want to have a long-term rental. At least one of you, if you're a couple, for example, at least one of you must have, like it's a must-have, a contract. Which is not expired, so you have to show that you are working, and at least the last wage, last salary receipt, like an invoice, you have to present it as well. They ask how much income do you have in a month in your whole family. If you're more than one person that will be living in the apartment, they ask how many you are, if you have children, if not, and then if you have some animals, like domestic animals. A lot of well, we're gonna go to that one a little bit later about the domestic animals, but apart from the monthly salary and the work contract, they also ask you to pay some certain amount of money. Here in Spain, as for now, as for the day of today, maybe that will change drastically tomorrow, but as for the day of today, here in Spain, you need to pay, if you want to have the apartment, 2 months, usually of like a deposit, just in case you don't pay a month rent somewhere, like at the end of the contract, just in case they see that there are some damages to the apartment or to any like electronics, anything is not okay, or you took like a TV from them, like who knows. So in this case, they ask you 2 months worth of a deposit that the owner keeps, and as soon as your contract expires and you don't want to renew it and you are looking for another home, you're moving out, then the owner checks if the apartment is okay and if it's been left in the same conditions than it has to be, and then they give you back the deposit. Plus, they ask you 1 month worth of commission for the agency, for the real estate agency, for their work and for the contact they gave, so that because of them you found the apartment. Plus, they ask you a month in advance. So if you want to move into the apartment or a house, you need to pay at first 4 months in general for everything. So let's say if your apartment costs like 500 euros, so you have to pay 2,000 directly before you even move in. This is very heavy. A lot of families cannot just allow themselves to pay that kind of money. And in general, in my area where I live, in Albir, this area is very expensive comparing to Benidorm. In Benidorm, you can find quite a lot of cheaper apartments, but you have to check very well where they are situated, because some of them are very fancy inside with high-tech technology. They have like super nice views of a sea or of the mountains, but then they are in the area where usually the nightlife is like boiling. So you won't really be able to sleep. That's what the price is so low. So you have to be very careful with it. In Albir, it's very quiet. This is residential zone. It's also a touristic zone, but of a different tourism, more calm and quiet, of families with children or like elderly people. So here it's quite different. This is why here in the area the prices of the apartments of rentals are quite high, and a lot higher than in Benidorm, than in Altea, in Alfaz, in Andalusia, in Calpe especially. And here, for example, a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom apartment plus the living room plus the kitchen and the terrace will cost you approximately between 700 plus, like between 700 and 1,000 euros, depending on the appliances that it has, where it's situated, if it's near the sea or not, if it's in the center, if it has like heated swimming pool or a tennis court or something inside, like the inside the community areas of your apartment, like building. So it's very important for you to see what the apartment has, and if where it's situated before you check. You need to know where exactly you want to live. You have to ask about the neighbors, you have to check the area before you move in, because it's very important, just in case you are quite sensitive to the noise, as we are. So bear in mind that you have to think twice, and you have to check the region and ask people maybe, or just well, real estate agents, it's not that they are lying, it's just we not always say the 100% of the truth. Or we don't lie, but we kind of say the things that people want us to say. Well, not all of real estate agents, for example. I was helping a real estate agent to rent apartments, but I've never heard her, for example, to lying to the potential client. But not all of the real estate agents are honest, let's say it like that. So just try and go to see the apartment at the most like important hour, when people go back from work, or when they are leaving to work, when they pick up their children from school, like the most difficult hours, when it's most probable they're going to be any kind of noise for you. And then you'll know for sure if the neighbors are making noise, if outside you can hear a lot of noise from cars, for example. So yeah, this is a very important factor. Going back to the documents, you need to have your residence here in Spain, like your identity documents. You need to have a work contract here in Spain, legal, not expired work contract, at least last month's wage and salary document, which usually every company here in Spain gives you at the end of the month, once they've put your wage into your bank account, and pay the 4 months. Then as soon as you pay, they give you the keys. Usually they let you about a few days, 2-3 days. If they like you, they might even give you a week extra, which is not paid. It's like free gift for you, so that you could install earlier and prepare everything for your life inside the new apartment. A very important thing, which I mentioned in the beginning, is about the domestic animals. Here, at least in our area, a lot of homeowners don't want people to have domestic animals. This is quite a problem, because usually here people have at least a cat or a parrot, a mouse, rabbit, something, a dog. Dogs people don't really have inside the apartments, because there's not a lot of space for them, unless it's like a really, really small dog. Usually they keep the dogs when they own or a huge apartment with on the ground floor, or like a house outside where they can have some garden for themselves and for the dog to play. So here in this case, people are not that selfish. They're not putting, not all of them, of course, but the majority are not putting like big dogs into small apartments, which is a good thing, a fair thing to do. So you have to ask if you have a pet, you have to ask if they accept animals or not. And it has to be put inside the contract. So let's say if they say no, but inside the contract there is no part where they mentioned about the animals, they cannot do anything if you have an animal or you decide to have an animal in the future while living in the apartment. Just because it wasn't mentioned in the contract, so they're like they cannot really do anything or say anything to you legally, I mean. A lot of people are afraid that people will get dogs and they will destroy like furniture, sofas, walls, I don't know, anything they can eat and chew and and etc. So that's why they don't really want domestic animals at home. What else about the rentals? In the contract, you have to read the contract a lot. Just take your time. A lot of people don't read it, but you have to. I'm gonna show you the contract that I had from the last place where we were living at, and it's quite a long contract, and I'm gonna explain you briefly what it contains. And so this is how the contract looks like. Usually you sign it, you, the owner, and then any other person that lives with you that is inside the contract. Here it was, for example, me and my husband. So we have 2 signatures of ours, and this is the signature of the owner, and you sign on every sheet like that. And on the last page. So basically it says here the date when you sign the contract. And it says on one hand, the owner with his identity number. On the other side, this person and this person with their identity cards, further called as tenants. Both parties declare of the legal capacity to sign, and this is what they say. And it gives you several points. First of all, it says to you the date, from which date to which date you have the contract of this house to rent, for rent. And it says in general for how many years you are able to have that house or apartment. So let's say, for example, the contracts are usually for 1 year. This one was from 12th of November 2018 until 11th of November 2019, which means that it was for 1 year. But in general, the contract will automatically go on and renew itself automatically if no one says no, like a few months in advance, for the period of 3 years. This was for 3 years. Now the law changed, and the contract is able to renew itself for 5 years, which is a lot better for tenants actually. So yeah, this was for a maximum of 3 years. And it says here that after each end of the contract, you have to stay with a minimum of 2 months if you don't want to renew the contract. Then basically it says here that if people, you have to, that's why you have to read it thoroughly. Here it says that in case the parties do not reach like a minimum of 24 months, they will lose a 1 month deposit. Basically you lose everything. It depends on what they will put. Sometimes they say you like 2 months, you lose the whole deposit or just a half. So you have to read it thoroughly just in case. Then it says on the second part how many euros a month, how many hundreds of euros you have to pay for the rent. Then it gives you a bank account where you have to put the money on and what you have to put as an observation. Then the third part is saying that the delay of the month in paying in rent or not complying with the payment terms of contract will be sufficient reason for cancelling the contract and obligating the tenant to leave the property. Basically, it's not the case. They put it in the contract just so that you would like be afraid that if this will happen, you will be like on the street, so that you will pay. But in theory, and in theory it's one thing, in practice it's another. In practice, they cannot just say to you, if like you don't pay, let's say from 1st to 5th of each month, like you don't pay this month, and then in 2 weeks they say you like, no, you have to leave. No, it doesn't happen like that. You have to talk to the property owner and just explain why you didn't pay. Then if he says if he can wait, if not, like you can pay him half, and then the other part, like you can negotiate with the owner. It's not like if you didn't pay in the next 3 weeks, you're like on the street. No, it doesn't happen like that. Then basically it says that you're responsible for what things extra you are responsible. They might put you that you have to pay for the garbage. Usually here in Spain, you pay 3 times a year for the garbage tax. Plus you have to pay, for example, electricity, water and gas. In this apartment we'll live right now, we don't pay for it. It's included in the price of rent. But it's the first apartment ever that we found these conditions, and we're very happy. In all the others, here, for example, it says that the tenant is responsible for the payment of electricity, gas, water bills, and the annual garbage tax. Then it says that you cannot sub-rent the entire or part of a property. So let's say if you have it for yourself and it's a 2-bedroom apartment, then if you want to rent the other room for someone to split like the costs, you cannot do that because it's only in your name. Then it says that the warranty is that amount. In this case, the warranty was 1,400 euros. And the owner will return the deposit of 1 month at the end of the contract, and then the other month will be returned as soon as he'll check if the apartment is okay. Then it again says that it's forbidden to sublet the property, and basically about all the damages and like serious damage to the apartment, and who's taking care of what. This is a very important thing that you have to read in the contract, is who is responsible for any kind of damages. Or like, let's say, if your washing machine breaks down and doesn't work anymore, or your like dishwasher breaks down, or if like water is not coming out of the shower, or if your toilet doesn't work, if your door broke, like I don't know, if your floor is like flooded, who's responsible for all that, and who will cover the costs? Usually it's all in the contract. And here, for example, it says that the owner exonerates the lender of all sorts of responsibilities for damages which might occur when within the rented property. Small repairs in order to maintain the good and normal condition of the property will be for the tenant to be paid. So you have to be very careful with it. In this contract, we had that in case something like small damages happen, we have to pay for it, which is normal. But if something like bigger happens, the owner has to do it. In this apartment where we live right now, the contract is slightly different. We know the owner, and he is always responsible for everything that happens in the apartment. Let's say if I need to change a light bulb, of course I'll pay for it because I use that light bulb. You know, it doesn't matter. It's like a small amount. But if as already mentioned, something major breaks down or doesn't work, or the doorbell doesn't work, the door doesn't close, the air conditioning stopped working, something like with major costs is happening in the house, then the owner is the one responsible for paying and for finding a person to fix it, for with talking to us to put like an appointment for it, and doing everything so that things would work again here. So in this case, we don't have to pay anything at all, just like small things like light bulb changes and stuff like that, which is normal. But in this contract, this wasn't the case, with which we had a lot of problems because this house had a lot of humidity, a lot of different problems, which I don't really want to talk about right now. So maybe sometimes in the future I'm gonna do another video about what kind of problems houses and apartments have here in our area, so that you would know, like useful tips on how to choose a home here. That will be very interesting for you probably. But as for now, I'm just gonna say that be careful, read the contract, please read it just for a second, because there are some very important things that the real estate agent doesn't tell you, but they are here. And if you don't read it, when you will know it, it's going to be already too late. Then the last part here is very important as well, that the tenants will allow the owner, which is right here, or his administration, like the real estate property, to visit the property for possible checkups or maintenance of the property while the tenants are present in the property inside. This we were quite unhappy about. We discussed about this. The owner never came to the house, but still it was something that invades our like usual life, and it gives you a sense that that it's not like your home, it's someone else's home, and the person is constantly like controlling you, although it wasn't the case at the end, but it's kind of like disrespectful from his side. I felt bad that he will come and control me and my house. He will see all my furniture, all my things inside. He'll see what I have, like clothes and like jewelry and like all different things that we have inside our home. My personal things, you know, that I don't really show to anyone. Like it was kind of, I know it wasn't a good feeling about it, but he never came. But you have to be careful. If you don't want this to happen, you have to put it here on the contract that you don't want the property owner visit the house, and unless you expressly tell him that you want him to come to show him something, you know, that broke down or something. So basically you have to make sure that you let him know that you're not agreeing with this, or that he can come only in case that you ask him to come. So basically that's it, and you say that both parts agree with the terms and conditions of the contract. You sign the contract, and then as soon as you sign it, you give them the money, they give you the keys, and you are ready to move in. This is basically how it works here in Spain. Right now it's slightly different. Usually right now, during the pandemics, you still can go and visit the house, although you need to check the videos online in real estate agency website, or they send it to you by email, and then you just say, okay, at this day, this time, we're meeting there. You go with a mask, of course, and then you can still see the apartment. So this is basically how the long-term rental works here in Spain, how much you need to pay and what the contract says to you, what are your rights and the owner's rights. And yeah, next time we will definitely talk about short-term rentals. These are more fun, but they include a lot of different interesting and quite like shady things that not a lot of people know about, but I'm definitely gonna let you know. So don't miss the next videos about the long-term rentals. Don't forget to subscribe if you enjoyed the video, put a like and click on the bell so that YouTube will let you know when the new video comes out. Thank you guys for watching, and girls, thank you to the ones who don't forget to subscribe. We are 61 already. I'm very happy and very glad that our YouTube family is growing, and hopefully this will continue that way. Have a very, very nice evening, everyone. Take care of yourselves, and we will see you tomorrow in the new video. Bye.